Hey y'all. Hey. This is Jaleisha Jones with Black Woman Fly. Can I just say I am so grateful for every comment, every follow, every share. Like, it's dope. It's dope. I legit had like 16 or 13 followers last week, and now I'm like close to 800. I'm very grateful. Very, very grateful. And I knew there were going to be disagreements. There's going to be discourse in the comments about the decision of me wanting to just quit my job. I'm making $80,000 a year. Who wants to do that? That's crazy in this economy. And me wanting to sell my house, and there's comments about she can't afford the house. And I was blessed with the house, okay, and I was able to afford the house. I was doing this all by myself for 5 years, but I no longer want these things, and that's okay. But it's really interesting to hear the discourse and to see the comments and also see the encouragement. Thank you. I would rather pay attention to the positivity and the love and the support, because then I don't feel so crazy, because then I feel seen. I feel seen, and I thank you for seeing me, and I see you. So to those who have also took the leap of faith, or to those who are also struggling in their own work and trying to figure out what they're going to do, what's the next point, I send you love, because there are always options. But to get to that place where you really are willing to throw it at the wall and do something different, sometimes you got to reach the breaking point, or sometimes you got to hit the bottom of the bottom, and it don't feel good at all. It's very painful, but to get to the other side, or the journey to the other side, is very, very much worth it from what I'm seeing on my end. So now with this video, we're going to dive deeper into what led me to take my leap of faith, and that really kind of culminated and started with evicting my mother, starting on April Fool's of this year. My mother moved out like 2 or 3 months ago, but we're going to talk about that journey, because I'm going to be honest and transparent. And also, today is my grandmother's 106th birthday. She's not physically here anymore, but she is spiritually always with me, and so I honor her today. And this is a healing journey for me, and I'm healing something within myself, of releasing the caretaking, releasing the strong Black woman trope, releasing just having to repeat the cycles of those women who came before me, my mom, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, of having to be everything and putting their mental health last. I am releasing that, and as I make this video, I hope this is a blessing to my grandmother, and thanking her for everything that she's done for me. So let's jump into it, okay? Because I want to just talk about this journey with my mom, because my mom moved in with me in 2016 and she didn't move out to this year. So she was living with me for 9 years. She moved in with me when I was 27, 28 years old, and it was supposed to be temporary. It was supposed to be 2 weeks, which led on to 9 years. And I was always the sole provider. My mom helped. She did help as far as, she paid for her room, she paid for where she slept, but I handled everything, okay? I've always been the one that has been in the caretaking role. And I never asked to do that, and she never asked me to do that, but I just took up the baton, because as a child, I saw my mom having to battle out with everybody in her family, battle out with men, DV. I saw her struggle with her mental health. I saw her just kind of collapse within herself, because she was trying to take care of everyone else but herself, and which led her to relapsing on drugs, which led her to abandoning me when I was a teenager and I had to go live with my father. And she chose that lifestyle for a while. Then she got clean. She's been clean for about 16 years. But I've seen her at her lowest. And so I thought to myself, she was moving back to Texas, and I thought, if no one else is going to help her, who's going to help her? Like, I have to be the one. I have to be her person. And so I took up the baton without her asking, and I just was so afraid that if she didn't have me, she would not be able to take care of herself. And she was a fully capable woman, but I had never seen her do that. And so I was very afraid that she would relapse, or that she would, go back into old behavior, old habits, even though she was working the program, she was in AA, and she was doing all the things. I still was so afraid, because I had my own abandonment issues and fear. And so the first couple years of us living together was really good. We really bonded. We got along really great. Well, not necessarily great. I won't say that. We had a lot of unpacking of trauma and pain because I had a lot of resentment towards her for abandoning me. And this time that we had together, the first couple years, I was able to be very truthful and transparent and angry and cry and have grief. And we were able to heal a lot of those wounds, okay? And so that was very helpful. But after the first couple years, I realized, okay, I want to be on my own again. I would like to be on my own. I was working through my spiritual journey because I had been really mentally unwell for a really long time. That's another journey, another video that I'll talk to you guys about. But I went through a spiritual awakening in 2019, and I realized, okay, I want to be on my own. I want to quit my job. I want to explore. I want to write. I want to travel. I want to do my own thing. And I was like, the only thing that really is holding me back is that I feel like I'm still responsible for my mom. And I thought, I could keep her and do the things I wanted to do, which I could have. But I was grown as a woman. I was raised in Christianity, and I no longer wanted to be Christian. I had renounced that, and I started, learning what God meant for me, which was a me thing. It's all within me. I started to learn to trust my intuition. I was a woo-woo girl, y'all. I was into crystals. I was into my beads. I was into, I became really, really devoted to honoring my ancestors. I had an ancestor altar. I was just very much not the same girl my mama raised me. And there was conflict because my mom was deeply religious, even though she claimed she's not. She was deeply religious, and there was conflict because she couldn't understand. She respected the meditation, she respected the praying and the intention, she respected affirmations, but she didn't understand everything else. And so we had conflict constantly because I was not the same woman, and I was building my sense of self, my self-esteem, and I wasn't quiet anymore. And so it just was conflict. And when you have two women who are dominant by nature, who are naturally we both have control issues, I was not able to be myself in the house because it was going to be her way or it was going to be war. And so I had my own voice and I was building my voice up. I shrunk my voice in my house. I shrunk my voice so I can keep the peace. I let her do whatever she wanted to do. I let her become she was still the parent and she still was the authority in the household, but I was the caretaker. So it was kind of a conflict because I had no control in my house. And then I wasn't dating because I couldn't bring men over, okay? My mom was too nosy for that. So it was just a multitude of different things. And I kept wanting her to move out, but I just never would have the guts to do that, to tell her. And last year, I was really, really unwell. And I was really tired because we were battling in the house constantly. There was nothing I could do that was right. I had did everything that she had wanted me to do. I had got the house. I had got the degree in psychology. I had, wrote my book. I had did X, Y, and Z. I was writing. I was being me, and I still was getting told on a daily that I don't do nothing with my life. I'm not gonna do shit with anything. I haven't done shit. And I know, hindsight, I know, and I even knew then, she was projecting. My mom has massive insecurities within herself, and she was projecting her insecurities onto me. But when you constantly hear this every day of being fed that you're worthless, you're nothing, you don't do nothing, and you're doing everything, I just realized I don't have to live with this person no more. I don't want to live with this person. I had no peace in my house. I would hate coming home. I worked from home, so I would hate being at home. It was stressful. I did not like my job. I was stressed at my job, and then dealing with just being at home, it was no peace. There was just conflict. And so last year, I had told my mom, and I had an eating disorder. I was purging because I couldn't handle my feelings. And I told my mom, I was like, look, and I sat her down and said, look, I am in pain right now, and I appreciate if you move out. Like, I need you to move out. And she said she understood, but I don't think she took me seriously because I've talked a lot before, so she never really took me seriously. She said she was looking for a place. She wasn't looking for a place. And so I just was like, okay, I'm just going to continue to deal and to buck her down. At the end of last year, I decided I was going to move in 2 women. And when I did that, I knew something was shifting within me, because I knew if I had someone else come in that, I'm going to turn this on because it's kind of hot. But I knew if I had someone else coming in the house that she would not be okay with that, because my mom, she's very controlling. She's like OCD to 10th degree. She don't realize it. But control for her is soothing. Control for her is very, very cathartic, and it's very much her therapy, because she doesn't know how to handle her emotions and feelings. So I knew she was not going to be able to handle this. So when the women moved in, it was conflict immediately. And I had already told my mom the situation. I told the women the situation about my mom before they moved in. And I even said, Mom, you need to move out, because these women are coming in and I don't want conflict. But it was conflict like day one, because of certain things that happened in the house. And it no longer became just my issue. It now became, I was a landlord to 2 tenants, and I had no control over that, because they couldn't come to me. It was her controlling and dominating the situation, and not respecting me and what I was trying to tell her, and what I was trying to conversate with her and get her to understand that you don't run this. You cannot run this. You need to just take a step back. But she could not do that. And she refused to listen to me. She refused to even have a conversation like regular with me. Like, she would not hear me. And so I was in therapy at this time, because I was going through the FLA process. So I was going through therapy regularly, and I was talking to my therapist, and my therapist was like, it's time for Mom to go. It's time for Mom to leave. What is the plan for this? And I kept thinking, well, I'm going to give her eviction notice. And I kept talking about it, but I wasn't going to do it. I didn't think I had the gumption to do it. And so my therapist was like, well, you take this FLA and you get off of FLA and you go back to work. This is not going to change. The disruption, yes, the work is a disruption, but also in your house, there's a major chaos. There's major war. There's major disruption, and you are not at peace. You have no safe ground in this house. So something has to give. It is no longer safe for you to be here. So you can do this FNLA, but you can't even really take it, because you can't even get the help that you need, because it's not even peaceful in your house. So she was right. And I was trying to find ways to navigate this, trying to find ways to get through it. And something happened at the end of March of this year, where there was something happened with the resident that was living here, one of the tenants. She told me, and I don't know what the blow was. There was a misunderstanding, or I had a conversation with my mom about something that don't speak with them, and she did it anyway. And the next I knew, one of the tenants said she was going to move out when her 3 months of the lease agreement was up. And I was like, dang, I was finally trying to get a break on financially, and the girl is moving out. And then I had an issue with my mom. We had a conversation, and my mom just started like cursing at me and the way she always talks to me, and just saying a whole bunch of different things to me. And for the first time, I cussed my mama out. Like, I met her at her level. Because I felt like, you can't hear me when I talk to you directly. You can't hear me when I sit you down and say I need help. You can't hear me when I do all these things. So let me let you know and get on your level and cuss you out. Now, when I did this, she still didn't hear me. What she heard was I cursed. So she's like, how dare you talk to me this way? How dare you? How dare you? And I remember she called my father, trying to get him involved. And I remember I called him back, and I was like, she tells you that, and I told her this too. I said, you told him these things, or you're talking about how the way I talk to you, but you still didn't hear what I was saying. You still didn't understand what took me to this breaking point. I have never did this before. I have been telling you that I need you to move out. I have been asking you to respect my house. I have been asking you to respect me as someone who is the head of my household. I've been asking you to honor me, to listen to what I'm saying, to talk to me as a grown woman. Because even though you're my elder, even though you're my mama, that doesn't mean you're gonna talk to me any kind of way. That's another thing. I don't do that. I know I come from a generation or you come from church, or a generation of you respect your elders. You get respect when you give respect. My mama was used to her mother cussing her out, calling her every which way. My mama is used to doing that as well. She's not as bad as she used to be, but that's what she does. And you're not gonna do that. You cannot. You just cannot. And so when I met her energy, she was so hurt by that. But that was my breaking point. And the next day, it was April Fool's Day, and I went and printed out an eviction notice and put it on her bed. And she texted me when she got it, and she said, "Thank you for the time that we spent together. I appreciate it." And she, after that, she moved. She went and she shifted. Something within her shifted. She went, because she knew I wasn't playing, I guess. And so she went and found her place, and she moved. Now, during this whole process, I have been trying to deal with the feelings that are coming up, dealing with everything, because I couldn't believe I actually got to this point where I asked her to move out. I was so afraid of finally setting that boundary. But what I can say is that since I've set the boundary and we've had this space, I love my mom very much so, and I love her, and I definitely want her to take care of herself, and I will always be there for her. But it is good that we're apart, because we're two different people, and respect has to be given for you to get respect, and there just was none. And she didn't understand how much pain I was in, because when I asked her to move out and then the next month I quit my job, she's like, "Oh, you have lost your mind. I don't know what's going on with you." And even when she moved out, she's coming around to a point where she's like, "I don't get why you're doing all these things, but I respect your courage. I respect you, and I just want you to be happy." And that's all I wanted from her, was respect. But that was a catalyst for me wanting to quit my job and take this leap of faith, because I'm tired of trying to conform and to be what I think I'm supposed to be for somebody else, and it's still not good enough. It should never be good enough. I should be enough for myself, and whatever decision I make is for me. I can't save anybody else. I don't want to save anybody else. I don't want to be a caretaker. I don't have no man. I don't have no kids. It's not my responsibility. My mama is fully able to take care of herself. And even then, because I'm an only child, even then, I didn't come into this world to say that that's what I signed up for. That's just not where I'm at today. It's not. And my mom has made decisions in her life and choices in her life that has led her to a place where she doesn't have a lot of a good support system, and a lot of a where she can take it easy. She has created those choices, and so she has to navigate that. She still is here for a reason. She has to navigate that. It is not my responsibility to navigate that for her, nor do I want to. I got to worry about me today. I got to prioritize me. And I see her not prioritizing her mental health. I see her, she's been very unwell this year because of everything that's going on. She does not know how to process her feelings. And I've been worried about her, but I also see that this is why what I'm doing is necessary. Because if I don't take care of myself, I will break down from the inside out. I will break down from the inside out. And I don't want to struggle like this 30, 40 years from now. I don't want to be my mother when I grow up. And I know people say all the time, and you probably shouldn't say that, but I want to be the example. And if I'm going to be the example, if I'm going to heal my lineage, I got to change. I got to do something different. And that comes with setting boundaries. But you got me messed up. And this year is all about me. Well, not even just this year. The rest of my life is all about me. I am selfish, and selfish is self-love. And sometimes when you are trying to create change and you want change in your life, it's not just the job. It's not just, the house. It's not just, I want to do something different. Sometimes it's the people that's around you. It's the people that you constantly deal with, that sometimes you got to separate yourself from, and you got to remove yourself from, because they are hindering you, because they are pouring doubt and fear and hurting you. And you don't even realize it. You don't realize that you're digesting all of that. And they may not even do it because they don't love you. They may be doing it because of their own fear and their own pain and whatever else they got going on. But if you don't have the wherewithal to understand that's what's going on, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt deep. And nobody deserves to deal with that. So when you talk about change, sometimes you gotta change everything so that you can honor you. That's why people get divorced. That's why people leave. That's why people have to break up and let go, because you got me messed up. And before I get done with this, I had wrote a poem, and I wrote a lot of poetry during this whole process of me leaving my job. I wrote a manuscript. It's called unHOEly. It's unHOEly it's unHOEly, which is HOE. It's unHOEly. But I wrote a poem about this. I'm going to read a little bit from it. It's called The Good Daughter, because I'm the good daughter no more. And then that's about it. So here we go. They had transitioned back into old roles. The mother was dominant. the child quiet and obedient. Except now, the child kept the roof above their head, and she was tired. Tired of walking on eggshells, afraid of what version her mother would appear that day if she obeyed. If she just did things the right way, maybe things would be okay. But it was never enough. You don't do shit right, her mother scolded. Then scolding morphed into verbal lashings. You ain't did shit with your life. The daughter had done a lot of healing, had gone to the depths of her darkness, and came back. Could see that her mother carried pain she hadn't even touched the surface of. But the lashings still penetrated. She was still hurt all the same. And years had gone by of taking, of allowing, of playing the role, trying to make a former stranger happy, but a broken well will always run dry. 9 years later, she couldn't take no more. A pressure cooker set on high, her inner rage became a volcano. Of unsaid songs, painful verses, terrifying hymns, the child that hid rose from the grave, finally staked her claim. I want you gone, she exclaimed. Her tears could fill an empty riverbank. The mother ignored her. How dare you talk to me that way? The child within couldn't believe her ears, couldn't understand how their mother couldn't see, how she was a shell of herself, how bits and pieces of her had died off many, many years ago. You don't hear me, the child cried. You don't listen to me at all. And I'm done trying to save someone who don't even know they're broken. The child went to her computer. She researched. She wrote an agreement. Her pain seeped through her pores, sweaty, messy, bleeding through. The next morning, she printed out the eviction notice, placed the agreement on her mother's bed. April Fool's Day it was. But this was no joke. Somehow, some way, the child became her own mother that day. I am reparenting myself. I am loving myself today. And for those who struggle with boundaries, sometimes it got to get ugly, because that's where the real healing happens. Sometimes it has to get ugly. Sometimes you have to break free in ways that are not so pleasant so that you can finally honor yourself. And if people love you, they really care about you, they'll meet you on the other side. That's all I got. Have a good one.